Well, we always want to win matches, and we don't enjoy losing matches or accept losing matches. But I can't make decisions just to try and get a win. You know, we've got to focus on the processes. We've got to focus on performance, the things we can control. A lot of these guys that are coming into the team tomorrow have had 0 minutes in the league. But the right thing for them, and ultimately the right thing for us as we go through this season and beyond, is to give them game time and to give them international matches. So that's the reason for doing it.
It's an interesting line to say that he needs to give his players game time in the England team, playing international football, because they're not getting it enough in the Premier League, where usually it's the other way around, isn't it?
Well, if you wasn't playing for your first team when I was playing, you wouldn't even bother looking at teletext to see if you was in the squad. You wouldn't even bother. You wouldn't even bother.
Explain to the viewers what teletext is.
Teletext is
There's some young viewers that have no idea what you're talking about.
It was true, wasn't it? If Gazza wasn't playing for his first team, you know, or like he fell out and he weren't in the team, he wouldn't get picked.
No.
For how great Gazza was, if you wasn't playing, you weren't in the squad. It's as simple as that.
Let's have a little look. We've got something to show you, and this is the amount of game time that some players in the England team, the England squad, have got in the Premier League, and does it signify a problem? This is what Gareth Southgate has mentioned before, that there is not a lot of game time for a lot of these players. You can see, you know, Jordan Henderson 138. That's the fewest in the Premier League from top to bottom. Fabian Delph with none at the moment, and Danny Welbeck 21, Ruben Loftus-Cheek 33.
Yeah.
Is it a concern?
Well, he's caught between a rock and a hard place, really, isn't he? Because on the one hand, he wants to say, oh, well, I can't pick him, he's not playing. On the other, if he said that, he wouldn't be able to get a squad of 22, 23. So he has to do it. I mean, we are early on in the season, aren't we? So those figures are naturally low. And the likes of Henderson and, well, maybe not so much Danny Rose. We'll see what happens with him at Tottenham. And then the other lads, yeah, bits and pieces for them. Who knows how much football Ruben Loftus-Cheek's going to play. But he's just feeling, I want to keep these lads involved, give them that taste, that flavour of international football, the way that they had it in the World Cup. It's so difficult for him. Luckily, he can afford to do it in what is a friendly against Switzerland.
He said he knows his core, doesn't he? So he knows his core and he wants to develop them. It's almost like it's like a Club England thing where he knows that these players are the ones to move on with the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be harder to get in and get out of the squad now. If you know, I think if you're in it now. I think that's going to be the way, because, as you say, you've got players there just not getting any minutes for their club, and they're still going to be playing, or they're going to get a chance. But he's staying loyal, Gareth, and I like that. He's going, right, this is the team, these are the ones I want. If you're not playing for your club, you know, you're still going to get picked. And is that a good way? I'm not sure. I think you need to be playing for your club if you're going to play for England.
It's difficult. He hasn't got the players, though, has he? I mean, somebody like Loftus-Cheek, I think we all know he's a good player. You know, he's got great potential. We saw it in little snatches in Russia and that and before. But that's why he thinks, well, I'm going to stick with you, because I can't afford not to, really, because who else I'm going to bring in, you know? What am I going to do?
And the thing is, what you were saying earlier is, you've got to keep these players happy, because they're the ones you think, well, they're going to go along and they're not going to play, you know. So what's the point in going along? You know, I could start my club, and I think he's doing well there, Gareth, in keeping these players and saying, right, you're going to play in this game. And Delph, I mean, I think Delph will play football before the end. You know what I mean? He plays at the best team in Europe probably at the moment, so it's hard for him, but. For me, it was always... It's hard for these players to go and play now when they're not playing for their clubs, and then you go bang and you've got to go up another level to international football. Do
you think it could have the reverse effect? So some of these players, if they go and have a stormer internationally, especially like tomorrow night, they could then go back to their clubs and their managers will go, oh, you had a great international game, therefore it might increase their chances of being picked for their first team? Yeah,
I mean, the club managers will love it, won't they? And they see a player come back who's maybe a little bit sharper, and his spirits are lifted, and he's thinking, wow, going away with your country's done me a lot of good, even if he doesn't pick him from the start, but he's got a kind of re-energised player back in the fold. So that's when international football can, you know, serve domestic scene well. But yeah, you can stake a claim, of course you can. You know, somebody gets a hat-trick for England on tomorrow night, go back to the club. Come on, Gaffer, you know, I'm buzzing here. Give me a chance.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek is an interesting one, because in terms of what he did this season, there were suggestions or rumours that he might be going out on loan. He didn't. He stayed. He spoke to Pat Davidson. You can see that this weekend. He admitted it at 22. He doesn't feel like he's played enough, and he feels old. Is he old at 22?
Wow, if he's old, what am I? Seriously.
Directed that one to
yeah.
you.
No, I don't think so. I think that from him, you'd look at him and you'd think he'd probably still be playing when he's 33. But
for the amount of game time that he's had, he feels old.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he should play more. He should play more. I mean, he's unlucky. You feel sorry for him because he's just a little bit short of getting in the Chelsea team, but they won't let him go out on loan because he's still a good player. So they need him. It's a hard one. I mean, you look at, he'll be sitting there, you know, Fabregas, you know, is not playing at the moment. You know, if Pedro plays, William don't play, or vice versa. You know, Chelsea have got a good squad. It's a shame on the lad, but what do? Do you go, oh, right, I'm at one of the top clubs in England, all right, I'm going to leave and I'm going to go and play for a relegation team and play every week, but get beat.
He seemed like he was keen to stop at Chelsea.
Yeah,
he wanted to. He sees it as his club and wants to prove himself. He's
a lucky break away from getting in the team and being in there for a long time. You've got to get that break. Someone gets injured, you come on and you get 10, 15, 20 games. You just never know.
There's other players there as well that will keep him up. Ross Barkley, potentially. I know that they've flip-flopped so far this season. Kovacic as well, that new signing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Chelsea have got a good squad. They've got good midfield players. They're blessed with a lot of midfield players. You know, you've got Jorginho and Kante are always going to play. Them two are definitely playing. And then it's after that. So
Drinkwater even. I mean, how's he going to get there?
Yeah, forgot he was even.
Yeah, for how much money they
horrible.
paid for him.
When you look at this England team and how well they performed in the summer, reaching the semi-finals and what they've done so far, since then, how do they get to that next level? Do you think they're missing anything? And if they are, what is it?
Oh, yeah, they're missing plenty to get to the next level at the moment. We saw that against Spain, you know, and this is a Spain team that, going into the match, we were led to believe they were struggling a bit. You know, if they're struggling, I wouldn't want to face them when they're doing well. They've had 3 disappointing tournaments, but, you know, they've just got that inherent class, really. You look at somebody like Thiago, he was earmarked as... That is what we're missing, that bit of creativity in the middle of the park. Somebody can play the early pass, the clever one. It's been a while since we've produced. And that's why, going back a few years, we were so excited about Jack Wilshere, because we looked on Jack as he could do that for us. He's not quite Paul Gascoigne, but, you know, he can give a spark from the middle of the park and be clever with his passing. At the moment, when you look at the midfielders that we've got, there's nobody really going to put the hand up and volunteer for that role. Nobody's capable of doing it.
Gareth Southgate came out and called Paul Gascoigne a unique talent, the best in his generation. Is there anybody in the Premier League even that comes close to how he used to play?
What, English?
Not even English, just anybody in the Premier League.
Oh. I tell you what, like Gazza used to go past people. He used to, you know, he wasn't the quickest bit. He'd get past people. I mean, like, it's hard. I mean, he was the best English player I played with by a million miles. But Gareth says this, you know, we need a bit of this. We had Paul Scholes, probably one of the best there was. Steven Gerrard, one of the best there was. And Frank Lampard, one of the best there was. We never won anything. And we had the 3 best. And then when you got them 3, and then you start going, where are we short? Up front? Yeah. And then next time it'll be where are we short at the back? You know, it's one of them where you just got to get this team and give them confidence. I just find sometimes, I know Gareth, you know, wants his players to go out and play like they do at their clubs and just go out and express themselves. And I still think there's something holding them back. I just don't think they play with that. And we're trying fear. We're trying to search for names, aren't we? And they've appeared in the press the last couple of days. Phil Foden and, you know, Mason Mount at Derby on loan from Chelsea. You know, these boys that are just not getting anywhere near the game time at the top level. Mason Mount's playing more than Phil Foden, but it's like we're clutching at straws a little bit. You can't be promoting lads too quickly, or else you could do a lot of harm. But we're so desperate to get that play. I mean, it's always the same after you play a team like Spain and they are what they are, and then you're searching for what they've got. We shouldn't lose sight of what we have got. We're not at the top level, but
didn't play particularly well at times against Spain, but then we came back into it, could have easily drawn the match. We shouldn't beat ourselves up too much about it.
Yeah, I'm going to throw in a tweet, actually, because we've been asking the viewers and people on Twitter for what they think. And Rajwan Pasha said, actually, can James Maddison be the playmaker England needs? So just to throw another name in there.
Yeah, I mean, has he played 4 Premier League games?
He will be a good player. I do like him. I'm a big fan of his. He's got great confidence as well. And, yeah, I think he would be a good player. Big ask to go and say someone 21, oh, go and be our playmaker. I mean, international's another level above the rest. You play in the Premier League and then you go that level. It's hard just for someone to go, oh, go on, you get on the ball. You know, we had one of the greatest wingers, John Barnes, and people go, oh, John never done anything for England. Every time you kicked off when you played with John Barnes, 2 players would just go and stand on John Barnes and say, right, as long as he don't play, England ain't playing, or make sure he don't get the ball. And that's what happens with the star players. And they'll just go, right, you two, just stop him from playing. And they do it. I mean, look at Gaza against Holland in qualifiers when the lad broke his jaw. You know, his cheekbone, just bang, stopped him playing. You know, and it's all right just throwing names out and, you know, championship to international football, I dread to think how big that is. I mean,
Maddison, yeah, great prospect. Give him half a season. If he stopped in the Leicester team for that amount of time, 20 games, whatever, if he's played well during that period. Yeah. Barkley, yeah, I mean, you just think he's going to be in and out, maybe out more than in. But Maddison's got a chance, I think, to pin down a place at Leicester, especially with Mahrez not being there anymore. So if he can have a good run of 20 games, and then Gareth Southgate can more realistically think of him. You
mentioned a story about Gaza in your book, don't you?
Yeah.
Can you relate?
Couple. What, the one in Russia? I mean, Merson knows what Gaza was like. I mean, for some reason, the one trip, they put us together, me and Gaza, as roommates. I mean, it's like chalk and cheese. Somebody must have had the idea that I was going to calm him down. But it didn't quite work.
Or make you more exciting?
Yeah. Thank you very much for that.
I'm joking, obviously.
No, we were in Russia one match. I don't know if you played for the B team. We played the one day and the seniors were playing the day after in Moscow. So we were waiting on the coach outside the ground after the seniors had played. Gaza was with us and he was getting bored, you know, and we were flying home the next day and he got a big bunch of rubles out of his pocket. Didn't need them, you know. They weren't much to him, so he decided to put them through the sunroof on top of the coach. So then, of course, when the coach moved off, they fluttered everywhere, caused a riot in the square almost, people scrambling for this money. The army lads, you know, stopped the coach, big jackboots, the old khaki coat, the machine gun slung over his shoulder. This bloke marches onto the bus. First person he sees is me. You know, get out, he's barking at me in Russian, I haven't got a clue what he's saying. Give me a right old rollicking in the Roy Keane style, you know. The old finger jab. Yeah, I must have eased trouble.
He's coach of Russian now, that bloke.
Yeah. So eventually, I thought he was going to get arrested, but eventually he marches off. I haven't got a clue what he said, and there's Gaza on the back seat, you know, sniggering away. But that was just him. He was always up to mischief. But I mean, I go with Mercer. I was lucky enough to play with him before his injuries when he had that burst of pace. I mean, we used to play 4v4 in the little squares and you just couldn't get the ball off him. And if you gave it, you had to give it him back because he'd always do it, so you had to give it him back if you were on his team. He was amazing. But he was a unique character as well.
How exciting was it just watching him develop as a player?
Yeah, I mean, he would embarrass people in training. Like, you'd do 8v8s when you'd leave people on their backside. I'd never seen anything like it. Honestly, I thought in 1990, I thought he was the best player in the world, if I'm being honest, in that World Cup. I thought he was the best. And it's a shame. We ain't going to get... I thought the nearest thing to him, I thought was Joe Cole. I thought when Joe Cole come through, I thought, wow, this kid's going to be unbelievable. And he was. I mean, he won everything in the game. And for me, I think he was very underrated, Joe Cole. I think that's what we're looking for, England. I think we're aiming too high with Gaza. But Joe Cole, someone who's going to go past someone, going to do something different, you know, and get people off their seats. Don't really get that now.